Take a listen at what the Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye had to say in this interview that he granted to a Chinese journalist shortly before traveling to Beijing for the 9th summit of the Forum of China-Africa on Cooperation, that had been set to run from September 4 to September 6, 2024. It's an interview in which he praises the popularity of the BRICS economic bloc, as a testament that the current international system needs deliberate reforms to be fairer and inclusive to the global south, and as well highlights lessons that African countries can learn from the Chinese success story for their own prosperity. Mr. President, good morning. Good morning. Thank you for granting us this interview despite your very busy schedule at the moment. Thank you. It is a pleasure. Here is your country Senegal, which is co-chairing the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. You will also be in Beijing very soon to participate in the next summit of the Forum, and also to make a state visit to China. This would indeed be your very first trip to China. So what do you expect from this summit and this trip? Senegal, as you know, has been co-chairing the FOCAC since the Beijing summit in 2018. So I inherited this legacy because I was elected in 2024. It is well known that relations between China and Africa are part of a dynamic of strengthening cooperation and diversification. In this respect, the FOCAC is an important tool in the service of this cooperation. As President of the Republic, this will be an opportunity to renew and consolidate the relations of friendship and cooperation between Senegal and China, which we have elevated to the rank of a comprehensive strategic partnership. So with this visit, I am convinced that the great success of Sino-Senegalese cooperation, which is materialized by several achievements and several projects in various sectors, will continue. So the FOCAC, since its creation in the year 2000, has already had many results in terms of consolidating solidarity and friendship and promoting common development between China and Africa. How do you see, Mr. President, the role played by the FOCAC mechanism in strengthening ties, in strengthening cooperation between the Chinese and Africans? FOCAC represents an innovative framework for the South-South cooperation that has already proven itself. It is a platform for fruitful exchange and dynamic partnership to meet Sino-African challenges. And since its creation in 2000, FOCAC has helped to consolidate solidarity between our two regions while putting in place concrete mechanisms to promote economic and social development. It is therefore a firm part of regular dialogue, and the FOCAC in this sense allows through the adoption of initiatives and action plans to mobilize resources to finance structuring projects in Africa by drawing inspiration from the Chinese model. Finally, FOCAC allows to strengthen the paths of Africa and China on the international scene, in that it advocates in particular equality, mutual trust, win-win cooperation, solidarity and mutual assistance. And precisely Dakar, the capital of Senegal, hosted in 2021 the 8th Ministerial Conference of FOCAC, during which Chinese President Xi Jinping announced 9 programs to boost Sino-African cooperation, and in August last year in South Africa on the occasion of a conference bringing together Chinese and African leaders, President Xi again launched 3 projects and initiatives to support Africa in its efforts of industrialization, modernization of agriculture and training of talents. So today, Mr. President, what assessment would you make of the results of the monitoring of these measures? As co-chair of the FOCAC and host of the 8th FOCAC Ministerial Conference which took place in Dakar, Senegal has witnessed the important achievements of this partnership, particularly in the field of infrastructure with the implementation of the Belt and Road Initiative. Many roads, highways, ports, airports and railways have been built. Significant investments have been made in the fields of agriculture, technical and vocational training, water and health. Of course, the challenges remain immense, but the follow-up of the initiatives and programs launched by President Xi Jinping shows China's solidarity and commitment alongside Africa, which augurs a stronger and higher partnership.
montre l'engagement solidaire de la Chine aux côtés de l'Afrique, qui augure d'un partenariat plus fort et plus élevé.
We can therefore express our total satisfaction with this cooperation and with the Chinese model. And as you have already mentioned earlier, Mr. President, China and Senegal have been linked since 2016 by a comprehensive strategic cooperation partnership. China is today Senegal's leading trading partner. Senegal was the first country in West Africa to join the Belt and Road Initiative. Can we expect a strengthening of this bilateral relationship under your mandate? You who seek national sovereignty in all areas, do you think that Chinese cooperation could support you in this dynamic?
Pensez-vous que la coopération chinoise pourrait vous accompagner dans cette dynamique?
Absolutely. As I mentioned above, my desire is to work to strengthen this cooperation in order to raise to a higher level, particularly in priority sectors such as agriculture, industrialization, hydraulics, technical and vocational training and digitalization. The search for national sovereignty in all areas is a priority for my government, which is in the process of finalizing the 2050 vision and the framework of public policies that we intend to implement soon. We are therefore working with all friendly and partner countries that are willing to support us in achieving these priorities, including and especially China. And in terms of international politics, we are talking more and more about the Global South today, and China is part of it, as is Senegal. In your opinion, Mr. President, what can the Global South bring us in our world today, and how do you see the efforts made by China to promote cooperation within the Global South, and to push developing countries to progress together? The Global South essentially groups together developing countries and is increasingly becoming a reality in international relations. It advocates the reform of the international system, which, as we all know, has become obsolete in that it perpetuates the status quo and ignores the legitimate needs of its vast majority. The transformation of the BRICS group into a broader Global South shows the extent to which the international system is contested and that it urgently needs to be reformed, but reform it in the sense of making it more inclusive, fairer, more equitable in the best interests of all. Well, one last question before we end this interview. Mr. President, the People's Republic of China will celebrate its 75th anniversary in October this year. How would you assess the results achieved by my country on its path to modernization with Chinese characteristics? And what do you think of the initiatives launched by President Xi Jinping in recent years in terms of global development, in terms of security and civilization? And I already say happy birthday to you in advance and happy birthday to the Chinese people, and to the People's Republic of China. I will have the opportunity to address my congratulations to President Xi Jinping and to renew the friendship of the Senegalese people to the Chinese people. With a policy of great opening up reform, China has been able to make impressive progress on the path of modernization. And this is thanks to an approach that has rapid economic development, poverty reduction and improvement of the living conditions of its population. So the results speak for themselves. The Chinese modernization model, or rather the Chinese model, based on a strong capacity for innovation, advanced industrialization and efficient resource management has helped lift hundreds of millions of Chinese out of poverty in just a few years. This is also an obvious observation. In this sense, China is therefore a source of inspiration for many developing countries, including Senegal. The initiatives launched by President Xi Jinping, such as the Global Development Initiative, the Global Security Initiative and the Global Civilization Initiative, are important contributions to strengthening multilateralism as the foundation for peaceful coexistence of peoples.
Ces initiatives
These initiatives aim to promote inclusive development and strengthen international cooperation in areas that are valuable for the future of humanity. China, in a word, inspires all humanity.
inspire toute l'humanité.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I wish you a good trip and a good forum.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much.